morning, everybody. It is about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I have a few things I have to do today. It's Monday, so first I have to get my daughter to my babysitter, and then I'm actually going to work for a little bit at home, and then head to my doctor's appointment, and then go into the office to finish up my day. Because I am going to the doctor, I have to work a few extra hours in office. So praying everything goes good today. Doctor's appointment is just a regular checkup. Thank you, Jesus. But yeah, you're coming with? Let's go. Okay, so I dropped my daughter off at my babysitter's house, which is my cousin. She's also a certified nanny, so it really works out really well. But now I am getting myself ready for doctor's appointment. Took a shower. That was nice. And I'm just putting on some oil because your girl's skin gets dry. Very, very dry. So I always put that as a base for anything, because anything on top of dry skin just ain't it. And dry skin is simply not my ministry. It used to be my ministry, unbeknownst to me, but I'm really trying to no longer attach myself to that ministry. So, yeah. The main ministry right now of dry skin is really on these lips, and that's partially my fault because I was very much neglectful for a little bit here today. So, well, actually this last week/month, but whatever. So now, like I said, I'm just trying to get myself together, and we'll see what comes of it. I will say I was doing my daily devotional today, part of our Impact Ladies group. We're doing reading the Bible in a year, and part of the reading today was Jacob and Esau's story. And I found it interesting that when Jacob was stealing Esau's birthright, and Isaac was blind and he was old and he was in his last days, well, actually, he had already stolen the birthright. This was now him stealing Esau's blessing. He had already stolen Esau's birthright as the firstborn, and now he was well, he technically didn't steal the birthright. Esau gave it to him. He manipulated Esau into giving him the birthright because Esau was hungry and he had just come back from hunting, and he's like, hey, I have a meal. If you want to eat, give me your birthright. And Esau's like, fine, whatever, you can have it. And so now Isaac was getting old and he couldn't see, and Jacob comes in and he's giving him his food, and he's about to do the blessing, and he thinks it's Esau, and he convinces his dad that it's Esau, and and Isaac gives him the blessing. And when he's convincing him that, he's Esau, he mentions and he says, your God. And it's interesting to me because I'm like, wouldn't he have been his God too? And not until later on, I think in the very next chapter, at one point, Jacob has a dream after Jacob's latter dream. And he essentially says, you will be my God. And it reminds me that we have to make God our God, like we can't have it we can't have our lives dependent on, and our spiritual walk dependent on our parents. And, we have to make their God our God. We have to search out, and how we do that is searching out scripture, reading our Bible, praying, and having a personal walk with him. That's how he becomes our God. And I just found that so interesting, because I think, we sometimes just assume that people have their own walks, but it makes sense that he wouldn't have had his own walk, because he was so manipulative and so deceitful and a liar. Those that walk with God don't walk in those things. And so it was just a nice little quick lesson for me today, that I was just like, yeah, sounds about right. We all have that. We all were, at some point, we have to make the decision: is he going to be our God, or is he not going to be our God? And Jacob figured it out later. He eventually, I believe his name becomes Israel, but it's just really interesting. So that was my little morning takeaway from our devotional today. That's in Genesis. And yeah. So anyways, I'm going to get my life together, because my God, no, I'm just kidding. I'm going to get my life together, get my face together, and then we'll probably be on our way to the doctor. So, okay, so we look better. Not great, but better. But I guess I should probably tell you guys why I'm starting this channel. I have really wanted to for a really long time, and I have talked myself out of it. When I say for years, ma'am, years, okay? Years. And I am just over talking myself out of it, to be honest. And I know that there's a reason for it all. But I have just really wanted to, and I thought I've always been really, really interested in social media. And I mean, I run the social media at my church, and I love it. And I'm constantly doing research and constantly looking into different things. And I have just wanted to do it. And so why not do it? It's 2025. Ain't getting any better, if you know what movie that's from. And, I think it's time. And it's been time, to be honest. I don't know what I was waiting for or what I was needing, but it didn't come, whatever it was. Well, I don't know. I don't know that that's necessarily true. But anyways, really wanted to do this because it's been something of mine that I've wanted to do for forever. Something that I want to look back on, something that I want my daughter to have later on in life. Losing your mom very, very early in your life always makes you hyper aware of the end of life. That just got really, really dark, but it does. It makes you hyper aware of life in general. And so you do everything you can to preserve it. And this is one way that I can preserve it. So with that, that's pretty much my reason. I don't know, again, how long these videos are going to be. I guess we'll just see. I'll probably end up sticking to vlog style. There may be a video or two where it's specific and specified and purposeful, but really just want to video my life and my daughter. I don't know that she'll be on here all the time. I don't know that I want her to be on here all the time, but I mean, you guys saw a clip of her earlier, barely awake. Like, Mom, leave me alone. Which is probably how you'll see her a lot of times. She's very much so always like, leave me alone, but she's a beauty. So yeah, that's my reason. Also, I just turned off my light, and can we get into the skin? Wow. Amazing. That noise is pointy. Okay. But don't mind that, or the kitchen in the back of my head, to be honest. But I'm not mad about the skin. I mean, it took us a while to get here. So we're going to acknowledge it, we're going to admire it, and we're going to move on. Okay, bye. so before I close out for the evening, I just wanted to circle back to something I kind of was mentioning earlier today. And that was about just kind of like delaying, you know, what I feel like I should be doing, in the sense of what I feel like is somewhat part of my purpose. And I've gotten in my head so incredibly much in the last year. And maybe I'll dive into that on a different pod, or a pod episode. Probably should dive into that on a pod episode, but maybe I'll dive deeper into that on a vlog at some point too. Just kind of discussing those setbacks and those things that really have caused me to kind of pause this last year. I know this is my first time vlogging, so it's like, girl, what are you talking about? But I actually started a podcast a year or two ago. Honestly, I don't even know. I think it's been 2 years. And this last year, I really didn't pod at all. A lot of life things happened, and I think I was just kind of questioning myself. But even throughout this year of me not doing the pod, I've had many that have reached out to me and just asked, you know, like, hey, are you doing your pod anymore? Really enjoyed listening to it. There were people that were not in church that were listening, that are still not in church that were listening, and it was a good resource, and it was my testimony. And at no point do I think our testimony is not something that we should share. Now, time and place, I can probably say, but I think, you know, there's power in our testimony. I mean, the Bible talks about there's power in our testimony, and I'm at a place now, you know, where I am not allowing myself to talk myself out of anything. Life is going to happen, situations are going to happen, and we should be able to continue walking. I get taking a moment and relaxing and calming things down and seeing, you know, okay, well, reading your temperature, right? Like, where am I? How am I doing? What's my mental capacity? Do I have the capacity? I get that. But you know, when you're no longer checking yourself, and when you're procrastinating, or when you're holding yourself back. And I know I held myself back this last year. And so, time out for that. There are things that God is calling us to do, especially in this last day. There are things that he's calling us to do that if we don't do it, someone else is going to do it. And that person probably will do a good job, but that's not who God called to do it originally, right? And they'll do it in their own way, and it'll get done no matter what, because God's will is going to happen and be done no matter what. But don't we want to be in God's will, be a part of what God is doing? That is kind of where I'm like asking myself, like, either you're going to be a part of it or you're not. Either you got to figure it out, or he's going to move beyond you. And to ask God to use me and be a vessel, and then when he's saying, here's your way of doing that, and you're like, I don't know about right now. I'm just, time out for that. So that's where I'm at. I'm really talking to myself more than anybody else. But I know that no matter what, whether these videos are just for myself, if other people enjoy them, fantastic. But I need to do what I feel like I'm supposed to do. And I know it'll benefit me. I know it'll benefit my daughter and anyone else that sees it. Outside of that, it's just additional blessings, you know? So anyways, thank you guys for joining me today on this kind of chaotic day. Not really, it was actually pretty good, but a longer day. I didn't get out of work till 5:20. I'm usually out at 3:20. And so it was a longer day, but we got everything we needed to get done. We did some dishes. Hey, that's what we got to do. But anyways, let me know if, you know, this last year you felt like you were holding yourself back on anything, and what is there that you could potentially move into and do that God is calling you to do. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good night. And also, let's get into this again one more time before we go. Don't look at the lip. We're lacking lips. But the skin, you know, I mean, also don't look at the eyebrows. Those are okay. Well, maybe just don't look at it. Okay, bye.